Are you struggling with toxic habits that seem to hold you back from reaching your full potential? In this video, we'll discuss 5 destructive habits that can drain your energy, focus, and motivation, and how eliminating them can help you transform your life for the better. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of what to change, why it matters, and how you can break free from these habits to unlock your true potential. Get ready to take the first step toward positive change and a more empowered, fulfilling life. 1. Constant negative thinking. Constant negative thinking is one of the most common and toxic habits that holds people back from living fulfilling lives. But how do we break free from this destructive cycle? To understand how Stoicism addresses this issue, let's take a moment to think about the teachings of ancient philosophers and cultures. In ancient Greece, Socrates famously stated, "The unexamined life is not worth living." This statement echoes the Stoic belief in self-awareness and introspection. When we are trapped in negative thinking, we fail to look at our thoughts critically. Just as a blacksmith must hammer and shape a piece of metal to refine it, we too must scrutinize and mold our thought patterns to create something stronger. Negative thinking, in Stoic terms, is an irrational attachment to outcomes we cannot control. The Stoics believed that we should focus on what we can control and let go of the rest. Epictetus, in his discourses, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This mindset invites us to reframe our negative thoughts and instead focus on the things within our power. Our actions, our mindset, and how we choose to respond to life's challenges. Modern psychology, too, supports the Stoic emphasis on cognitive reframing. Research has shown that changing our thought patterns can lead to improved mental well-being. Just as the ancient Stoics practiced focusing on the present moment and managing their emotional responses, we are encouraged to challenge negative thought loops and instead cultivate gratitude, acceptance, and positive action. Have you ever caught yourself dwelling on negative thoughts, feeling trapped in a cycle of self-doubt or fear? Consider this. How would your life change if you applied the Stoic principles of focusing on what you can control and letting go of things beyond your reach? Think about it. Wouldn't the world look different if you trained your mind to stay focused on the present and on what you can actually influence? 2. Avoiding challenges and growth. Avoiding challenges is one of the most detrimental habits that prevent personal growth. In ancient cultures, overcoming challenges was seen as the path to wisdom and self-improvement. The Stoics, in particular, taught that adversity is a natural and essential part of life. They believed that true growth only happens when we embrace difficulties, rather than shy away from them. Consider the example of the ancient Spartans, known for their rigorous training and discipline. They understood that strength and courage could only be cultivated through hardship. A Spartan warrior's training was designed not to avoid pain, but to endure it. In this sense, challenges were seen as opportunities, not obstacles. The same mindset is present in Stoicism, where the Stoics believed that external events, such as hardship or loss, are not the cause of suffering. Our response to them is. Epictetus famously stated, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." In modern psychology, this idea is reflected in the concept of post-traumatic growth, where individuals who experience hardship can come out of it with greater resilience, wisdom, and emotional strength. By facing challenges head-on, we gain confidence in our ability to cope with life's difficulties. When we resist challenges, we reinforce feelings of fear and inadequacy. But when we embrace them, we build our mental and emotional muscles, much like a bodybuilder lifting weights to grow stronger. Reflect for a moment. How often do you shy away from difficult situations, fearing failure or discomfort? What would happen if, instead of avoiding challenges, you leaned into them and viewed them as opportunities to grow? By reframing challenges as necessary stepping stones to success, we align with the Stoic idea that our greatest growth occurs when we are pushed beyond our comfort zone. In this way, we not only grow in character but also cultivate the inner strength needed to navigate life's inevitable difficulties with grace and resilience. 3. Seeking validation from others. Seeking validation from others is one of the most limiting habits that prevent us from achieving true inner peace and fulfillment. This habit can trap us in a cycle of dependence on external approval, which is both fleeting and unreliable. In ancient cultures, the idea of seeking approval from others was often seen as a weakness. The Stoics, in particular, emphasized the importance of self-sufficiency and independence of mind. They believed that relying on others for validation creates instability and hinders personal growth. In ancient Greece, the philosopher Diogenes, a famous cynic, was known for his radical disregard for the opinions of others. Diogenes lived a minimalist lifestyle and famously walked around Athens in broad daylight with a lantern, claiming to be looking for an honest man. His disdain for social norms and external validation is a stark reminder that seeking approval from others is an illusionary pursuit. For him, the only validation that truly mattered was the one he gave himself, guided by his own values and principles. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus similarly stated, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This wisdom reinforces the idea that seeking external validation is not only futile but also outside of our control. We cannot control others' opinions of us, yet we often base our self-worth on their approval. This is a dangerous game, as others' opinions are constantly shifting, and we may never feel truly validated. Modern psychology supports this Stoic idea through the concept of internal locus of control, which emphasizes that a sense of self-worth and contentment should come from within, not from external sources. When we rely on others to determine our value, we lose sight of who we truly are and what we stand for. Instead, developing an internal locus of control means making decisions based on our own beliefs, rather than seeking constant affirmation from others. Think about this for a moment. How often do you find yourself seeking validation from friends, family, or social media? How much of your happiness is tied to how others perceive you? Now consider how much more empowering it would be if you were to live according to your own values, unaffected by the opinions of others. By practicing Stoic principles of self-sufficiency and embracing your own worth, you begin to free yourself from the cycle of seeking external validation. You create an unshakable foundation for your happiness, rooted in who you are, not how others see you. This shift is liberating and leads to a more peaceful and fulfilling life, allowing you to move forward with confidence, independent of external judgment. 4. Procrastination and delaying actions. Procrastination, delaying tasks and putting off what we know needs to be done, is one of the most common and insidious habits that keep us from living a fulfilling life. It's easy to find reasons to delay, to let the moment slip away, and to convince ourselves that we'll get to things tomorrow. But as the ancient philosophers taught, tomorrow is never guaranteed, and delaying the important tasks of life only leads to missed opportunities. In ancient Roman culture, the great Stoic philosopher Seneca was outspoken about the dangers of procrastination. He once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Seneca's words serve as a sharp reminder that time is one of our most valuable resources. We cannot control how much of it we have, but we can control how we use it. Procrastination wastes that precious time and robs us of the opportunity to grow and achieve our goals. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, believed that life was too short and unpredictable to delay action. He wrote, "Don't waste time on what you don't control, and don't waste time on what you can do today." This sentiment is a call to immediate action. Instead of putting off important tasks for later, Stoicism urges us to take action in the present moment, knowing that the most certain thing we can rely on is what we choose to do right now. Every moment that passes is an opportunity lost, and every task left undone is a burden that we carry into the future. In ancient cultures, the idea of procrastination was also linked to fate and the impermanence of life. In Greek mythology, the hero Heracles was tasked with completing 12 labors, many of which involved immense challenges. If Heracles had procrastinated in fulfilling his labors, he would have never earned his immortality. Each labor represented an essential step in his journey, just as every action in our own lives plays a role in our growth and success. Heracles' story teaches us that avoiding our responsibilities, even when they seem daunting, leads to stagnation and missed opportunities. Modern psychology supports this Stoic view by emphasizing that procrastination is often a result of fear, anxiety, or a lack of clarity. Studies show that procrastinators tend to struggle with decision-making, believing that putting things off will make them feel better in the moment. But in reality, procrastination creates a cycle of stress and regret as we build up more and more tasks that we eventually have to face. So, what can we learn from Stoicism and these ancient lessons? The key is to act in the present. The longer we delay, the greater the weight of the task becomes. Ask yourself, what's one thing you've been putting off today? How would your life change if you tackled it right now, instead of pushing it to tomorrow? The Stoics teach us that time is precious and every moment counts. Don't let procrastination rob you of your potential. By choosing to act today, you not only begin to overcome procrastination, but also take control of your future. 5. Focusing on things you can't control. Focusing on things you can't control is like trying to steer a ship in the middle of a storm without a rudder. You're at the mercy of forces beyond your control. This habit of fixating on what's out of our hands leads to frustration, anxiety, and a sense of helplessness, keeping us from focusing on the actions we can take to improve our lives. The Stoics understood this principle well. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, famously said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This idea, at the heart of Stoicism, is about accepting that many aspects of life are outside our control, other people's actions, the weather, or even the economy. Instead of dwelling on these uncontrollable factors, the Stoics advised focusing our energy on what we can influence: our thoughts, our attitudes, and our actions. In ancient cultures, this idea of focusing on what's within one's control was echoed by the teachings of Confucius. In his philosophy, the key to harmony and peace lies in understanding and accepting that there are things outside our influence. Confucius encouraged individuals to concentrate on improving their own character and behavior, rather than trying to change the world or others. This mirrors the Stoic practice of virtue, where instead of battling external chaos, you direct your efforts inward and cultivate self-discipline, wisdom, and courage. In the Bible, the Apostle Paul also reflects a Stoic-like attitude toward external events. In his letter to the Philippians, Paul writes, "I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances." This mindset is a powerful reminder that when we stop obsessing over what we cannot control, we free ourselves to embrace peace, acceptance, and the possibility of growth. Modern psychology supports this Stoic wisdom. Research in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, has shown that much of our anxiety and stress arises from our attempts to control things we can't, like other people's opinions or future events. Studies indicate that individuals who focus on what they can control, such as their reactions and coping strategies, tend to experience lower levels of stress and greater emotional resilience. Ask yourself, how much time do you spend worrying about things beyond your control? How often do you try to manipulate situations, people, or outcomes that are simply not yours to dictate? Instead of giving energy to these frustrations, focus on the actions and choices that are within your power. What small step can you take today that aligns with your values and goals? By shifting your attention to what you can control, you begin to cultivate a life of purpose and serenity, just as the Stoics taught. In conclusion, the Stoic principles shared throughout this video offer timeless wisdom that can significantly improve our mental clarity and emotional resilience. By focusing on what you can control, living in the present moment, seeking virtue over external success, and embracing challenges, you can transform the way you approach both life's difficulties and its opportunities. Through detaching from the need for constant validation, practicing self-reflection, and aligning with the natural order of things, we are reminded that true peace and fulfillment come from within, not from external circumstances. These practices are not just ancient philosophies, but are also supported by modern psychology, which affirms their relevance in today's world. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches us that we have the power to control our mindset, reactions, and attitudes, and that by practicing these principles daily, we can cultivate a life filled with inner strength, wisdom, and tranquility. Take time to reflect on these practices and consider how you can integrate them into your own life. Embrace the power of Stoic wisdom and watch how your life transforms for the better, one small step at a time.